Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show here on Park City Television. We're getting ready to talk about some big news coming out of Summit County. I am joined by Glen Wright from the Summit County Council to explain all of that to us right now. Glen, how are you doing?
Very well this morning, Diego.
Excellent. Great. Thank you for coming on. Always a pleasure having you on. Let's talk about this big news. Summit County just filed a lawsuit against Big Pharma regarding opioids. It's the first county in Utah to do so. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Happy to. You know, the country is in crisis, state's in crisis, the county's in crisis with the drug overdoses and the opioid crisis. The U.S. has less than 5% of the world's population, but over 80% of the prescription opioid use in the world. Drug abuse has, overdoses have grown dramatically over the last 20 years in the U.S. And Utah in particular is the 7th highest state in the country in terms of per capita drug overdoses.
We're seeing them on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I mean, in staggering numbers on a daily basis.
Yeah. And we're seeing him right here in Summit County. And the counties bear a major part of the burden in trying to combat the opioid crisis. We have the police powers, we have the EMS, and we have public health that has to deal with rehabilitation. And all of those expenses come on the county, and it's also our duty to protect our population from this type of public hazard.
So the county kind of said enough is enough. Needs to be something done about this, right? So the Summit County partnered with a couple law firms from across the state. There was a couple in Salt Lake City as well as one from New York City as well to put forth this lawsuit. It's actually first happening here in the state district court, correct?
That's correct. We brought suit in district court in Summit County, their district court in Summit County.
This is obviously going to be a long lawsuit. It's going to be a big battle because Big Pharma obviously has a lot of money to kind of keep these lawsuits going for as long as possible. What's the kind of plan of attack here?
Well, the plan of attack is to attack them across the nation.
Okay.
We're the first county in Utah, but we will certainly not be the last. I understand that Salt Lake County will be having their own suit shortly, and we've been talking to several other counties to join us in our suit. So in Utah, I expect that a majority of the counties will eventually be involved in this project, and there's hundreds of counties that are contemplating the same activities or actually starting it across the nation. And the nationwide company, law firms will be dealing in federal court.
Federal court. So
also,
like you said, the plan of attack is kind of stretch it out across all bases there. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of counties in Utah, as you said, that are greatly affected by this, especially some in southern Utah. I know
Carbon County has the highest per capita OD rate in the state of Utah. So, but in terms of how this will proceed across the country and how long it's going to take, I can't predict that. But I think it's going to take a course similar to the tobacco suits and legislation and litigation that occurred over several decades.
Absolutely. And
you can see what kind of progress we've made on tobacco use. When I was a kid, probably at least half of the population were regular smokers.
And now ads for tobacco.
Now that percentage has gone down to around 10%.
Absolutely.
So we've dramatically decreased tobacco use, and I think we can do the same with opioid abuse. The drug companies really set up the population by selling drugs and promoting them to doctors and saying they're not addictive for long-term use, when they knew right from the beginning.
It's
a synthetic opioid. It acts like heroin. It acts like morphine.
I mean, the molecular compound is the exact same as what an opioid is.
So a lot of deception on the part of the pharmaceutical companies. It increased their bottom line dramatically. There are major companies that this is their major
This is their bottom line.
Yes.
And you make a great point of drawing the parallels between Big Pharma and Big Tobacco and in the same kind of, I guess, rhetoric that went along with it of, it's not, there's no long-term abuse effects, there's no long-term health effects.
Exactly. Tobacco companies lied about that for decades, and so has Big Pharma.
And it's almost, it's very the parallels are very extreme. I mean, even big tobacco in the early 50s and 60s was promoting cigarettes through doctors, so it's very similar. But I want to talk about this quote from Summit County Attorney Margot Olson.
Sure.
This is a great quote that I saw in this press release. These drug manufacturers and distributors reaped the financial benefits in the billions of dollars, and now they should be financially responsible for the opioid crisis facing our communities. As you said, this cost to the county is extreme, and it shouldn't be a burden to the county. It should be a burden to the people who are perpetuating this problem in the first place.
It should. And we've started to address it here in Summit County. And I look at the measures we've taken to address it kind of on a spectrum and a use spectrum. At the youngest level, where we've started, after the 2 deaths in middle school a couple of years ago, we started a lot of counseling at the middle school and high school level. And at the upper and at the criminality level, we started drug court, and we have 2 deputies that are full-time employees of the Sheriff's Department that are just dealing with probationers to get them clean and get them back into society. But in the middle, we have a large spectrum of probable users. And how do we deal with those people? How do we treat those people, get them into rehabilitation, get them off opioids before they reach the criminality level?
Agreed. Completely. It's sad that you can be 1 knee surgery away from being addicted to opioids, and that's
I was
very
prescribed
unfortunate.
opioids for knee replacement surgery several years ago, and I took 1 pill, and I said, okay, I'm gonna stick with Tylenol for the rest of my rehab.
I felt as well. I just recently got my wisdom teeth removed, and they prescribed me some opioids, and I took 1 and said, you know, I don't like this. I don't like the way it feels, so I got to throw them away. So hopefully we can get more people on that same page and agenda, and as well as doctors as well.
And here's the thing about it. I had the pill bottle from the prescription for my surgery in my drug cabinet for several years. Finally, last year at the Recycle Utah twice-a-year hazardous waste removal program, I took it and turned it in, and the sheriff's deputies had collect the drugs at that time and dispose of them. And when I gave it to the sheriff's deputy who was there, he said, "Well, that's worth a couple $1,000s on the street."
Wow. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Is there a way that the community can keep up to date with this lawsuit? Is there a resource that they can kind of go to watch this as it progresses? Like you said, it's going to be a long, drawn-out battle. It's going to take place over the course of many years.
It's brand new. I expect that as we get updates, we'll be keeping the county posted on it. Look for press releases from Summit County, and as things develop, you'll see it on our county website.
Excellent. Glenn, thank you so much for filling us in.
You're welcome.
County's doing great work in kind of spearheading this whole this lawsuit. It's definitely much needed, so great work there. Appreciate it.
Thanks for talking about it this morning.
Absolutely, my pleasure. We're going to continue here on the Mountain Morning Show here in the second hour when we come back from this break. Don't go anywhere.